talk about bending the law. So recently, a statement from Senator Erwin Tulfo during Senate hearing steered public debate. No, he made a remark that quote unquote sometimes you have to bend the law to please the people.
Hindi po batas ang pinag-uusapan. Wala ho tayong pakialam sa batas na yan. Sometimes you have to bend the law.
So, although the senator later on clarified that he did not intend to promote law-breaking, his remarks about bending the law,
Mas mataas po ang taong bayan sa batas. Am I right, Secretary Remulla?
Yes, sir.
actually raises a serious concern, no? So, about, particularly about the rule of law. From the legal standpoint, no, let's talk about the purpose of the law. So the reason why we have laws is to promote order, stability, and fairness. Laws are actually designed to regulate behavior, to protect rights, and to prevent abuses. Aside from that, it is also designed to provide remedies in case of violation. So you see, it serves as backbone of justice in a civilized society. And without laws, or let's say if laws can be bent at will, then what would prevail is not order, but rather arbitrariness or grave abuse of discretion. By whom? By those who are in power. So laws are actually meant to serve as a shield for the weak and a restraint on the powerful. Okay? So when a public official says that laws can be bent in order to please the people, the danger lies in the message it conveys, because it conveys that laws are merely optional, that laws can be set aside, that it may or may not be applied depending on the situation. So, if laws can be bent, that is when grave abuse of discretion enters. That is when arbitrariness enters. That is when abuses enters. Why? Because the discretion is left to those who are, or to those who is in power. You know, we are just human. If we are not guided by strict rules, then discretion comes in. And take note that discretion can be swayed. Discretion can be influenced. Discretion can be manipulated by what? Usually by power, by money. You know, who knows? Okay? So, take note also that our Constitution provides that no one is above the law. And take note that even the Congress itself, and the Congress, which is tasked of making laws, should abide to the Constitution. So, we even have this legal principle, no, that if there's a law that contradicts or that runs against the Constitution, that law can be held unconstitutional. Okay? So everything must bow down to the Constitution. So if the Constitution provides that no one is above the law, then no one is above the law. You know, you do not interpret that. Okay? We have this principle in statutory construction that if the law is clear and unambiguous, there's no room for interpretation. Okay? So you apply the law verba legis. Okay? There's no room for interpretation. The reason for that is to, again, avoid grave abuse of discretion. Okay? To avoid abuses, to avoid arbitrariness. So it's very wrong for Senator Erwin Tulfo to say in public, especially on a debate, that laws can be bent in order to please the people, okay? And even justify that there are exceptions to the rule. That is actually true. There are exceptions to the rule. But that exception, take note, is also provided by the law, okay? You do not make exception based on your personal opinion or based on circumstances, because take note, exceptions to the law or exceptions to the rule are still part of the law. That is still provided under the law. So again, you do not make your own exception. So it's very wrong, no, for a senator or a public official to make such kind of statement, especially during a Senate hearing, no, that laws can be bent in order to please the people, because, you know, not everybody can understand legal terms, no, not everybody can comprehend legal jargons. To the minds of the public, no, when you say laws can be bent in order to please the people, it conveys that laws are merely optional, that it may or may not be applied. So it's very dangerous to make that kind of statement. So again, we should adhere to the rule of law, okay? That no one is above the law. Again, I've been reiterating this multiple times. The purpose to that is to prevent grave abuse of discretion, okay? So again, if laws can be bent, it will open floodgates of grave abuse of discretion. So government official may justify their unlawful acts by claiming that it was for the greater good or that in order to please the people. So if that is the case, then there are rights that will be violated. There are people who will be prejudiced by the exercise of that discretion, okay? And if that is the case, laws can be selective, okay? And it will violate the constitutional right on equal protection of laws, okay? So, again, public officials should be careful with their words, okay? For senators, congressmen, or even the public official in general, you must be careful with your words, okay? Especially to senators and congressmen, because their statement carries weight, not just in the halls of Congress, but in the public mind. So making this kind of statement that laws can be bent in order to please the people, this is very dangerous, okay? It creates a wrong impression to the public. You know, it creates a impression that laws can be applied selectively or justice can be applied selectively. So it's very wrong, okay? So I hope this will not happen again. You know, no similar statements can be, released out in the public about bending the law, no? So I hope that's clear. And that's it for Let's Talk Legal with Attorney Zai.